Okay, so you guys ready to go?
Ready to go.
Ready.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 10th meeting of the Hyde Park Town Board. It's a regular meeting, public hearings, and workshops. Please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, we have a lot on our agenda tonight. Lots of updates by our comptroller, the deputy building inspector, the assessor, the highway, and the police. So bear with us, though, because we are going to go into an executive session first to conduct some interviews for the planning board and to discuss a matter of personnel matter. Excuse me. So may I have a motion to enter executive session?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, what was the, let's see. What I have here. Here it is.
With you. Yeah.
Donna.
They're color coded.
Thank you.
Let me come the other way.
Busy night. We got a lot on the agenda.
Help yourself. You know.
Sorry, dear. I know. Happy New Year.
Louis got them
Yes.
now.
That's all right.
Help yourself, yeah.
Let's try to move fast.
Is it tonight? Is it,
Tonight's Rosh Hashanah.
you know, it's like before sunset.
Oh, I thought it was, it's not, it wasn't last night, it's this
No,
night.
first night.
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight is the first night. The reason I know is because the rabbi came in my office and he was showing her my office. The local rabbi. I think it was close by. So. No, I knew.
It's a Rams watch.
Rams. Yeah. 30 times.
I went to Fordham, but we never flew the Rams horn. That was our fast guy.
Ah, I'm right for a Ram.
So funny.
Okay, so may I have a motion to return from executive session?
I make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let me just figure out where we are. Okay, may I have a motion to accept the minutes of August 13th?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
And we have a couple of public hearings on the agenda. But first, I'd ask if there's any public comment on the resolutions. And if so, please join me at the podium. Okay, does not look like that. So we can then just go on to the public hearing. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the first public hearing notice?
Please take notice that the town of Hyde Park shall conduct a public hearing on the proposed dissolution plans for Arbors, Greenbush, Violet Avenue, Pinebrook Estates, Quaker Hills, and Greenfields Water Districts, and the Pinebrook Estates Sewer District in accordance with the requirements of Sections 774, 775, and 776 of the General Municipal Law on September 10th, 2018 at 7:05 p.m. at the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York. Annexed to this notice is a descriptive summary of the proposed dissolution plans. Copies of the proposed dissolution plans will be available for inspection at the Hyde Park Town Clerk's office during regular business hours and the Hyde Park Library. Copies of the dissolution plans will also be posted on the town's official website and the town's notice board. Any person desiring to be heard on the proposed dissolution plans will be given the opportunity to do so at the public hearing. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated August 16th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York, Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Would anyone from the public like to make a comment on our dissolution plan? It's a little bit after the fact. We transferred these districts a few years back, and this is the final step to remove them from our roles. So if anyone would like to comment on this, please come on up to the podium. Okay, looks like we can go ahead and close the public hearing. May I have a motion to close the public
Make a
hearing?
motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the second public hearing is on a local law amending Chapter 90 of the Town Code with regard to obligations to maintain sidewalks. And Madam Clerk, might you please read that?
Please take notice that the Hyde Park Town Board shall hold a public hearing on the adoption of proposed local law F of the year 2018, entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 90 of the Town Code with regard to obligations to maintain sidewalks, on September 10th, 2018, at 7:10 p.m., the Hyde Park Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York. The purpose of the local law is to require owners of real property abutting any sidewalk on Long Branch Road, Valley Ridge Court, and Tree Line Court to maintain the sidewalks abutting their properties in a safe condition and to be responsible for all repairs, replacements, and reconstruction of said sidewalks in the future. The local law also requires said property owners to be responsible for all defects in said sidewalks and imposes liability on those property owners for any accidents which may occur as a result of failure to maintain the sidewalks. A copy of said local law is available for inspection at the office of the town clerk during normal business hours. Any person desiring to be heard on said local law shall be permitted to do so at the public hearing. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated August 13th, 2018, Hyde Park, New York. Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Okay, well, thank you for that. This is pertaining to the Enclave, which is on Cream Street. And we worked with the developers to come up with a solution to how these the sidewalks could be maintained. This is a subdivision that has recently received planning board approval, and this was one of the conditions. So I don't know if you want to speak to it in any other way, Warren?
Yeah, basically, there was a choice of either creating a sidewalk district, in which case the subdivision roads, the property owners adjacent to the subdivision roads that had a sidewalk would be responsible through the sidewalk district to maintain those sidewalks. But we decided that a simpler solution, less oversight by the town, less cumbersome requirement for creating the district and maintaining the district, would simply to pass a local law which applies only to this subdivision, and it would apply to other subdivisions as subdivisions are approved which have sidewalks. The assurance that the sidewalks will be constructed properly is through the security and bonding requirements of the approvals that were given to the subdivision. Subdivision sidewalks will have to be built to certain specifications that were required by the planning board in approving the sidewalks. They have to be inspected. There'll be a maintenance bond after the installation. But thereafter, the owners of those properties would maintain, in addition to the normal snow clearing and ice clearing and brush clearing from the sidewalks, they would have a duty to actually repair and maintain the sidewalks in the future. If they, and that the town would not have that responsibility. We also shifted the responsibility for liability for accidents which occur on those sidewalks. For our other sidewalks in the town, the responsibility is the town. In this case, we shift the responsibility and liability to the owners of those properties who have to maintain those sidewalks. And again, it only applies to this subdivision. We do have another subdivision that's going to be approved soon, so we would expect that we would amend this law to include those roads. And the only problem that we had is we had a couple of comments, one by one of our town board members, and also Dutchess County Planning felt that there was some confusion as to one of the paragraphs in the local law as to whether it was the responsibility was merely for these three roads. And when I reread the law, I agreed that to clear up the ambiguity, I restructured that sentence, make it clear it only applies to Long Branch, Valley Ridge Court, and Tree Line Court. And I think there was another comment that we didn't specify snow removal in the law as one of the obligations. So we've amended that. we could probably go ahead and pass the local law tonight, but to be overly cautious, I've amended the law, given a copy to each town board member. What I'd like to do is just close the public hearing tonight, but wait to see, well, let's keep the public hearing open to next meeting in 2 weeks. And then the board can close the public hearing and then vote on the law, because they'll have it for 7 days in final form prior to the meeting.
I like the way you changed it, it's clearer now.
Yes.
Well, and
When I reread it, I realized what the ambiguity is.
Yeah.
And Dutchess County Planning actually had the same comments.
Yes.
But just to be clear, in case there are people watching at home, the requirement to maintain the snow and ice removal remains for all the properties. This is just in particular to the enclave, where the responsibility to maintain the actual physical sidewalk is the responsibility of the property owners.
Correct.
Right, okay.
And we're going to be doing this for other new subdivisions.
but-
There's another one coming up, but we'll be doing
But the
same.
existing sidewalks along 9 are they remain in the responsibility of the town in terms of the physical.
The concrete, yeah.
Concrete.
Right.
But the snow and ice removal remains with the property owners.
That's correct,
So,
throughout the town.
I just have a question, I'm sorry. So with this, if the sidewalk is cracked and crumbling, the homeowner would be responsible for replacing that portion?
That's correct.
And who has the oversight of that? At the end, is it the highway department? Is it our engineer department to make sure that it's done correctly and with the right?
It would be
how
our
does that get done?
zoning enforcement officer.
The zoning enforcement?
It's part of their site plan, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it would be a
yeah.
violation of their site plan, but it would be it would be the zoning enforcement
I
officer.
think that's a
that would
good
enforce it.
question, though, Ken.
Yeah.
Does it have to be called out somewhere that the zoning administrator enforces
I mean, because somebody's going to
sidewalk?
have to make sure that they're putting down the right material, it's
Oh, you're
not-
saying during the construction process?
Well, I'm
or-
talking about like for repairs, you know,
Yeah.
if it's cracked and crumbled and they have to do the repair, who has the oversight on that?
That's going to be there, once we don't assume oversight for that, because once you assume a responsibility, then the liability comes back. So after the initial installation, they would have to maintain the sidewalk. And we do have a provision in there that if it's not maintained in a safe manner, we can actually go ahead and do the repairs ourselves and charge it back as
No, I
a tax
understand that,
levy.
but what I'm saying is if they see that there's an issue, right, and
They could
the
probably
sidewalk is crumbled and they need to resurface it, who has the oversight on that?
Our zoning enforcement officer would notify them that they have the responsibility to repair that sidewalk.
Okay.
So hopefully, those issues won't come up for
For
a
a
fairly
number
long
of
time
years.
after the sidewalks are installed.
Tad, did you have some comment on that?
Because that's fairly new, right? If there's sidewalks within the town,
Well, that's what I was trying to clarify.
I
This
understand.
is specifically for the
for
enclave.
right, so, but right now, if there was a sidewalk issue within the town, we go in and
On
repair it.
nine.
We do, yeah.
So this is
That's
gonna be
our-
totally different.
But just
So I
for
just wanna
those
make sure
subdivisions.
that, you know, we just don't have Joe homeowner going in there trying to repair that sidewalk and it's not done properly. Who has the oversight on that?
It will be part of the site plan approval, and the design specifications are actually in the plans.
Okay,
So they will have something
so
to
there'll be a
follow.
guideline there for them to follow. Perfect,
Thanks, Tad.
okay.
Okay, would
sorry.
anyone from the public like to speak on this local law? Okay, if not, then may I have a motion to continue the public hearing to September 24th?
I make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great, thanks. We have a number of workshops on the agenda, but before we do that, just a little housekeeping. I'd like to ask for a motion to add a resolution to the agenda, number 17, recognizing the 50th anniversary of the Knights of Columbus.
I'll make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so TC, you're up. First one. Thanks.
Good evening. You should have one sheet with a lot of columns on it.
Yep.
We maintain this sheet in the controller's office and update it annually. after the final audit results.
You have to speak into the mic, TC, I'm sorry.
Is that better?
Actually, would you prefer to sit?
No, this is
You
okay.
okay?
So it's a combination, what this shows is a 6-year history combination of the general and highway fund combined, so that's called the townwide government. It's a combination of the two governments. We consolidate the revenues on top and the expenditures, so this gives you a history all the way going back to 2011 including the last fiscal year, 2017. So what it shows is the revenues and expenses, and then the fund balances at the bottom of the page. So I just want to give you the good news how this government basically has been stabilized and has a very strong financial position since 2011. You'll see at the bottom of 2011 the total fund balances for the general and highway combined were $706,000. That is now up to $2,700,000, which is broken down in various reserves that we created during the last several years. We now have a reserve for compensated absences that didn't exist in 2011. We have a snow reserve fund which was created in 2012. We stopped making additions to that fund last year, and we have capped it out at $300,000, so it's going to stay there. In the event that you have a major winter snowstorm that we have to appropriate funds, that funds are available there. We also created some new funds for debt reserve during the year. We've been using them to pay down debt. We created a reserve fund for certiorari's, and in 2016 we created an assignment of the fund balance for capital projects. Recently those monies have been appropriated for the sidewalk improvements along Route 9 and some building facilities repairs in the highway department. So basically, in a scenario, what has happened in the last 6 years is that the revenues and expenses have both grown by 14%. So 14% during that time frame. So which basically means that your expenses and revenues have been really capped at about a 2.8% growth during those time period, which is very good. Basically, it's been following the consumer price index, and that is driven really by your labor contracts, because 75% of your government is based on labor costs, which is compensation and benefits. So the structure of the government has really been good during your budget practices. The town board has controlled the expenditures pretty good during this time frame. The revenues, we've been budgeting the revenues with a little cushion to create surpluses. And during that time frame, that's been able, when we created these surplus funds, basically through the mortgage taxes and the sales tax, that's allowed the growth in your fund balances. So the rating agencies are very pleased with this. Your independent accounting firms, as you know, you had that presentation during June. So everybody's pretty pleased with this. So I just want to bring you up to date on this. This shows you, and keep this on hand because we might refer to this during the budget process, which we are entering the 2019 budget process. We recently, in fact, we were just notified today of the 2% tax cap, which is actually this year is going to be 2%. So they started over the cycle again. Remember, it was down.
Yeah.
It was almost down to 1%.
Yeah.
It was 0.88. So we were notified today that you're actually going to have a 2% real growth factor in the tax cap, which is good. It's going to allow us a higher amount if we stay within the 2% tax cap. We don't know how that is going to play out. We will move during the budget process. The supervisor will file the tentative budget by September 30th. I did send out an email, I think maybe 2 months ago. Emily was one board member that responded about redoing the fund balance policy. Your current fund balance policy provides for 5 to 10% range being held in unassigned fund balance. I'm going to probably recommend that be changed. But right now we have a 17% amount in unassigned fund balance. What we have been doing, we started in 16, is taking the excess over a certain amount and moving it to what they call an assignment for capital projects, because you have undertaken several capital projects, and what we need that money for is you have to provide money as a local funding source, and that's basically come from the fund balance, unless we come up with some other revenue sources. So a lot of these grants that we have, the federal grants, which are the headache nightmares, but you've done very well. The town board has done an excellent job obtaining these grants, and the awards have been substantial, especially the pedestrian improvements. But they do provide that you come up with anywhere from 10 to 12% local funding source. So we're probably going to continue to move money from the unassigned to this assignment category, and maybe we will discuss that during the budget process to provide money for the large second pedestrian improvement project, the federal funding, which is a little over $1.3 million, and it requires about 200,000 local funder source. So I just want to give you an update. We'll be going into the budget process in detail within the next 2 weeks, and that is it for now.
And is there significance to the things that you highlighted on here?
Yeah, I think I had Caroline highlight a couple of lines that you should take notice of. Those are the larger expenditures and revenues that we really try to monitor, because they're the substantial portion. For example, the non-property taxes is the sales tax. That is your second largest revenue source on the top. Of course, the property taxes is number one. And then on the expenditure side, the general government is basically the general government functions in town hall, and then of course the two largest proponents of your budget, which is about $9.7 million, so almost call it $10 million of your townwide government. The public safety, which includes police, and the transportation, which is the highway department, account for about $5.5 million of your total expenditure. So it's about, it's a little over half, those two departments of your total budget.
Yeah, the public safety line has grown a lot over the last 6 years, it looks like.
I question TC on that also. It does include the
It
cost
includes
of
the police and the
police court
building and
facility,
post.
yeah.
They're considered public safety.
Yeah, which is expensive. Yeah, but hey, can pat ourselves on the back. It was good news here.
Well, the good thing
And
news
pat
is-
you on the back, TC.
Well, no,
Excellent,
the town board has
excellent
done
work
it. What
here.
the good news is that because of the growth in the fund balance, it has allowed us to create this other
These,
category.
right,
for
these
capital
funds for the
projects.
future and for the capital projects, because, otherwise we really wouldn't be able to do them without
Your-
that.
Your fund balance has almost quadrupled.
Since,
2000.
2011, it was
Amazing.
706,000
Yeah,
and,
which if you look at that
2.6
fund,
this
yeah,
time.
it was a precarious situation there. in
but you gotta be
2007.
careful, because like Howie's here and Rob
Yeah.
Benson's here.
Don't worry about that.
They're already like, oh,
There's
such
piranhas
good
out there
news.
tonight.
Don't worry
man.
about
There's-
that.
Why did I have to
Wrong
coordinate
meeting.
this?
Well, no, it's great that we're able
They
to.
would- you gotta remember one thing, if the town is not in good financial condition, people can't get paid and can't get raises.
Right.
Well, we're at the
We
point
have
now
to
where we
maintain a
can,
strong financial position
we
here.
can invest in the community again. The highway salt
you-
Yeah.
shed is looking fantastic, and we need to be able to keep our facilities in good shape.
Yeah,
so.
and mild winters help, and no crime helps sometimes.
Right.
TC, I know we have like the snow removal and things like that. And I know Emily has spoken about this several times, and I am in total agreement with her. Can we start, and I'm sure that would be a process, and I know Howie has spoken about it, of doing a blacktop fund, so
Yes.
that way, it's not always a
Well,
fire alarm that we always have here. If we can
Right.
start planning, I think we're finally at that point, thanks to the supervisor and all the hard work of all the departments, that we really have a good handle on our financial history here and growth, and I think we're almost at the point where we can really start planning for the future. And I know we need to start doing that with replacements of vehicles, blacktop. Are we at that point where we can start doing that?
Well, I think what we did this year with the extra $435,000 we appropriated for paving, we kind of termed that as a catch-up this year, because there were a substantial amount of roads that were in need of that, as identified by that county
That's
study.
right.
So we'll sit down during the budget process, the supervisor, Aileen, and I will sit down with Howie, and then the board will eventually get that. subject, and say, for a scenario, say we can appropriate 100,000 from the fund balance, and even there's a little growth in the highway fund balance, so there's nothing to say that we can't take a look at that and provide money in the, over and above the CHIPS allotment, and you start with a certain amount, and based on what happens with winters, because I've been a proponent, if you come up with some warm winters, the money that you provide for snow removal and you don't use it all, you should be able to appropriate that for other purposes.
Great.
Maybe that could be paving.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Man,
Okay, well,
Alrighty.
TC, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so
Okay.
much for all your
Thank
hard work.
you.
And Supervisor,
you.
nice job
Yeah,
here. Thank you.
thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's heartening, isn't it? Okay, so the next workshop item is we have our Rich Longendijk, our Deputy Building Inspector here, and Rich, maybe come on and join us at the table, and we'll just go through. Rich, I don't know what we did without you.
First of
I
all,
really
Rich,
don't.
I want to say I love you.
You have like a total fan club.
I don't know if somebody said that. I don't know if you said this to Rich yet
Mike is
today,
live,
but
Kenny.
I'm going to be like maybe the second. I love you.
You're not alone. So where are we? I think you had 10 properties on the list?
9.
9, okay. And you,
3 were taken care of, so we still have the 4357 Old Me Post, which is right down the street, the gas
Yeah.
station.
you know,
it's gas
Rich, can,
station.
I think we should go another route with him next time, because you
Okay.
know he's not going to continue to mow it. But I'm wondering if we should go to court, because this is really ridiculous that he refuses to maintain it, costing us for you to go out every single time. So I don't know if we should just explore that for egregious violators who just,
Yeah.
it's just a real time waste for you. And I think we should, I don't know, it's really your field,
Well,
but,
going, the court route, we're talking 2 months,
yeah.
before we can actually get them into court.
Mm-hmm.
I think this way, from talking to him, I think the only way you're gonna get to him is cut the grass, add it to his taxes.
Yeah,
I think that'll get his attention more than anything.
okay. Yeah, because there will be an additional fee. It's not that we're just, because there's a lot of administrative costs involved. So that's something that will be added in addition to the
Well,
cost for the highway.
You'll have the
or-
same costs if I do it through,
Well, but
through the state code, so.
in justice court, though, you can seek a fine. in
Yeah, the
addition
problem
to-
with the justice court route is that they don't have any injunctive relief powers.
Right, so-
So you can't, the judge doesn't have the power to order the property come into compliance. The judge only has the power to fine.
Right, but I'm curious, what is our fine per day?
Could be up to $1,000 a day.
But we don't get all of that.
But the problem, if
We
you're
only
trying
get a
to,
portion of that.
but Lauren, if you're trying
Why?
to create an incentive, I mean, the problem here is all they have to pay is basically the cost of the mowing, right?
But
Which
we're going to some
We're adding
administrative.
Because
administrative cost.
they would have to pay someone to mow it anyway, and if
Right.
this one, they only have to pay it twice a season or something, it's
Right.
cheaper than paying a mower to come out every week and do it,
Yeah.
so then you're not creating an incentive.
Right.
So, right, isn't that why? we
Yeah, and I
need to-
just think that, if we were to go through the justice court process
Yeah.
and seek a $1,000 a day fine,
That'd get his
it could be a
attention.
little bit more punitive.
Yeah.
More,
I mean,
dis-
not for
more of a
someone who's-
disincentive
Right.
to continue to do it. I mean, it's every year that it's like this, and, usually calls Tad and says, I'm gonna do it, I've got somebody who's gonna be doing it every week, and it never happens, so it's,
It's a commercial
Is that a
property,
local
it's just.
person?
No.
It is.
No, he's in Maine.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right? Because when I called the broker, he said it was someone local.
This is the gas station next to Sweets?
Yeah.
Biddeford, Maine.
Oh, okay. So anyway, but we'll go forward this time.
Okay.
Just think about it next time. So, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you in that?
No, that's-
Okay, good.
So, and then we have 579 Creek Road, 61 Windmill Road, 7 Gloria Drive in Statsburg, which are all occupied by the owner's family. And then we have 5 Idlewild, which is a vacant property, but it is owned by a gentleman in New Jersey, and 16 Sycamore, which is a foreclosure. I sent the letter to the listed owner of the house. I also emailed the property preservation company that's responsible for the property, and they haven't gotten to it yet, so we'll take care of it for them.
Great. All right, well, thank you.
Did we
And-
have any emergency
And
law
thank
right
you
now?
for 10 Parker.
Yeah, we're still working on getting them, trying to finish the rest of the, cut all
Atta-
the saplings and stuff down, trying to do all that and get, make sure they cut the grass every
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks a lot for that.
yeah.
And are we satisfied with Green,
Green,
That's number
they,
one.
I believe
Just
they
wanna make sure we
spoke with
have
Tad
the,
today, they removed the
tax ID
vehicles,
numbers on this.
and they
That's
cut
number
most of
We
the
do,
grass.
okay.
Yeah, I went past, I saw the front was mowed finally, so.
Yeah, I think the only spot where the grass isn't cut is where the cars were.
Yeah, we're
Gotcha.
gonna add administrative
Great.
fee like $400 or something. Yeah, I don't know, we have to look at our, we may have to amend it in the law,
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
was what we had to do,
you
yeah.
know.
Okay.
Okay,
Let
good.
me make a note
All
of
right,
that.
thanks, Rich. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Rich.
Thanks for
Thank you,
coming
Rich.
over. So, appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Okay.
Did she come up with a fee?
Yeah, I kind
I'll
of dropped
look
the
at it.
ball
I'll
on
make a
that.
note of it.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so Jennifer, please join us. We have 3 updates from our various departments, and I'd like to welcome our new assessor, Jennifer Mund. Thank you for coming in, and I know you're going to provide us with a lot of information. So if, I'm sure the public is just getting to know you, but I'm very grateful that you've joined our team, and thank you.
Thank you. No, it's been great, and we've had really positive feedback with everybody that we've been dealing with, so that's nice. It's always a good start.
Good.
So, briefly, about me, I don't know how many of you know
Yeah, I don't,
my
has everyone met
background.
Jennifer?
I haven't met everybody.
Okay.
I worked for the Office of Real Property Tax Services for many years before I became an assessor. I did a lot of reassessment support. So I was really happy to hear how healthy your fund balance was, because I am an advocate for reassessment. What was that? But I don't think we're ready yet.
All right.
I think it's going to take 2 to 3 years to really get the office
Okay.
straight and in any shape to do a reassessment. We're just not ready administratively at this point. So just to be honest, it's not. I
That's
plan-
good to know in terms of planning, because it is
Right.
a very expensive endeavor, and, we explored it pretty thoroughly a few years back. And we're close to pulling the trigger on it, but it just didn't feel like we
Didn't feel
had
right,
the
yeah.
structure.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
weren't ready.
Mhm.
So the first thing we're going to start with is updating the exemption process. We're going to do a complete review of the exemptions. We have found many exemptions that are questionable as to whether they should continue, whether were eligible or still are eligible to have the exemption. So, that's a pretty extensive process. We're digging through a lot of boxes and looking for a lot of forms. This is important. It impacts equity. Someone else is paying those taxes. So it's really important that any time an exemption is granted, the person or entity that's getting it is actually eligible for it. So we're going to start with that.
Are they supposed to reapply every year for that, or how does
It
that work?
depends on the exemption.
Okay.
So the enhanced star exemption and the senior citizen exemption is a renewal every year. This year, I was going to get into that later, but today the county just told us that they have the renewal forms ready and updated. The state has changed the process this year. So everybody who is in the enhanced star program will be required to file an additional form providing information for the Department of Taxation and Finance, who will be responsible for verifying their income every year for eligibility for the program. You do not have an option. You have to do it if you want the exemption.
How do they get those forms?
They are going to go out with their renewals. They're also available in the office.
Okay.
And we will not accept a form without the IVP. So there's going to be the individual renewal form for the Enhanced Star, plus this income verification form. They have to come in together because it'll just
So
be a long process.
Will you be sending those to the individuals who are receiving them this year?
Yes.
Okay,
So
so
I've
if
got-
you
yes.
had received Enhanced Star,
Mhm.
you'll be getting those forms.
You will be getting the renewal.
But if you suspect you might qualify for them, you could easily just come in and...
Absolutely. If you're going to turn 65 in this calendar year, or 2019, you are eligible to apply, but you have to apply before March 1st. So that's important. March 1st is always the exemption cutoff.
So if you're 65, you qualify for in the Enhanced Star?
65.
And is there
Or
any...
in the year you're going to turn 65. Come in before March 1st.
Okay.
There's an income limit of 86,000. If that's adjusted gross income minus taxable IRA distributions. If you're not sure, come into the office with your income tax returns or your income statements, and we'll be happy to figure it out for you.
Do they require your income tax returns as part of that process?
They do.
Okay.
This year, we'll need them. Starting next year, the state is going to tell us who qualifies based on their income and who does not.
Based
We
on
are
their
still-
filing of New York State income tax?
Yes.
So the state
So the
will
s-
take over that function then?
Yes, we're still required to verify eligibility as far as residency and age.
Okay.
So they have to be entitled to it otherwise. So that's going to be interesting. It also presents a problem for those who don't file income tax returns because their income is very low. They have to fill out a separate income worksheet. Those will be available in the office. I will probably include them. A lot of the people affected by that tend to be our older seniors. So it can become a little bit difficult for some of them, especially if they don't have any assistance. So we're really going to be reaching out from anybody we don't hear from who had applied in the past.
Great.
Great, thank you.
There also is the separate senior citizen exemption, which now have to be filed completely independent of each other. So it just adds another layer for a very vulnerable
Yeah.
part of our
Would you and your
community.
office be willing to go to our senior center and do a little seminar with them to
We
help them?
do.
I mean, we have a great senior center here in Hyde Park that our recreation department runs.
Yes.
And I think that would be just a great service for them.
Absolutely, absolutely, because
I should get with
the more
them.
people we can inform, especially any agency or
Yeah.
community
That'd be great.
program that can help them, it would be great if they have the information and the forms even available.
Right.
If there is a meeting location or something like that, we can leave forms there
Okay.
for them. It would.
Okay, yeah, great.
So we're, basically organizing the office. We kind of walked in, there was piles and stacks, and there's still piles and stacks. It's just the regular course of business happens as we're going through, so it's, 2 steps forward and
It's pretty bad.
sometimes 3 back, but we're getting there. Like I said, it's going to take time, and to be thorough, you really have to just take your time and go through every piece of paper and see what it is that you're actually looking at and address it.
Absolutely. And so we're fortunate because not only do we have you as the assessor, but we have a wonderful deputy assessor, and her name is Mara Rothman, and she's here full-time. So I know we had a little blip where we had reduced hours. So if the public needs to come in and talk with someone, there is someone there full-time.
Yes, and Mara's
Yes,
wonderful,
she
and
is.
she's willing to, help anybody out who needs it. So that's kind of where we're at. See if I have anything else. I think I covered pretty much everything. We're just really, like I said, in the process of taking it all in and getting a grasp on organizing it. We've discussed getting some new file cabinets, we have some drawers
Yes.
that are taped shut on the desks and things like that. Just
Yeah.
getting some
Well, we have on the agenda tonight, we're appointing someone who is, I don't know exactly how we describe him, but he's I would describe him as a handyman. So we will be talking with you about some ways to improve the functioning of the office.
Yeah,
So
I mean, we had
he's-
discussed that.
Yeah, and so, get your order together when you have a moment. I know you need some new file cabinets, but
Yep.
we will have someone on staff that can help you in terms of building
Good.
shelves, or, I know that work is needed down there.
Yeah,
So-
and everything takes time, and sometimes it gets a little like you just find one more pile or one more box, but Merritt and I just
Keep
kind
plugging.
of decided we're just gonna get through it all and
Absolutely.
organize the way that we're used to things being organized, and just move forward. It is, everything is down there, and we'll get through.
Good.
Try
All
and be
right,
very
well, Jennifer,
positive.
Thank you. Your
and thank you,
professionalism
and
is contagious, so thank you. Thank you.
and you were a Hyde Park girl, so it's a
I
little
was. I
bit
grew
like
up in
coming
Hyde Park,
coming home,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Good. All
Absolutely.
right. Well, thank you. We
All right,
appreciate
good
you
night.
Thank you so
coming in.
much.
Thank you.
Great events
Thank you.
again. Thank you.
Okay, so Highway is next. Howie, want to come on up and just, again, it's a bit of a casual conversation, but I think it's good for people to, for the public to hear all the things you're working on, and I know it's been busy for you.
It's been very busy.
Yeah.
Actually, we haven't even started our own drainage yet. We're still waiting to get the pavement down. That was supposed to start September 17th. I'm sure it's going to get pushed back now
The pavement.
with the rain.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Peckham's doing our paving. They're also doing East Market Street over here for the county.
Oh.
So I'm assuming that when they're done there, we'll get them next.
Do you want to just quickly go over the roads that are on your?
Falk Hill Road, both sides.
Mhm.
We call East Falk Hill, but it's considered Falk Hill, everything. All of Horns Park with the dead ends. Molly's Way, Rockland, Henry and Vista, Doty Avenue, Cedar up in Stadsburg on the top of Thompson. And I think that was it.
Great.
But I wanted to thank you all for the extra money this year to get that done. And like they talked about before, even at 100,000 can do something.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be that much every year, but, and I'm also looking to other ways of spending that money. I just got an email back from a guy who sent out to do a fiber mat, which is done with fiberglass up in, across from the high school, not Big Meadow, Golden Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like 58,000 plus 240 ton of 1/4 inch stone. So I'll have to figure that out if it's worth it. There's also a microchip that's out there. It would cost 40,000 to do Pine Woods Road instead of like 130,000 paving. So there is other options out there.
Great.
So I've been going around and checking out these different things, and I've taken a couple classes for the Cornell Road programs. I took a salt impact class out of Cary Institute. So we're learning. We're going.
Yeah, and I
in.
know you go to the Highway Association and
Yeah,
learning
once
a
a
lot
month.
there, and yeah,
I also have a couple other towns that are interested in buying a paver together,
nice.
Great.
and which would be great. I mean, we could put it down ourselves at a lot cheaper rate.
Yeah,
So the
We
town
could
of Red Hook
definitely-
was looking into it with me, and we'd like to get one or two more towns involved, so it wouldn't be a big expense.
yeah,
A paver's about 140,000 for the next size up from what we have, which would do a good job. So if you divvy that up and everybody takes their turn with it, it would, the shared services.
well, we could certainly apply for that at the next round of shared service for the county. That'd be
And
great.
of course, we all know about School Street that got paved early this year.
That looks great.
Came out very nice, thanks to Mark Pfeiffer
Yeah.
from town of Poughkeepsie. So, and to you guys for allowing the money to go there,
Mm.
but it was a
The facility's
no-brainer.
looking fantastic over there, Howie. Nice job.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're doing more and more. We're gonna put some blacktop down where the guys park their
Park,
cars
yeah.
this year, and,
Yeah, the new roof looks great, and the
new
new salt
roof,
shed.
salt.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
My guys are amazing. They go out, they do the job. I got a guy now fabricating, Rory Blackwell, who's fabricating, keeping our trucks running, because we've talked about it early in the year, the trucks are old. 1997 to 2000, 2001. they're not long for this world, so somewhere along the line, we gotta bite the bullet and buy some trucks. You know, we've lost 2 pickup trucks in the last couple of years, which we started auctioning off now. We used to scrap the trucks and get like $300 for. The last truck I put on auction got $3,100. They offered us $3,500 for the backhoe, and right now the bid is at $11,000, and that closes in 10 minutes.
Nice.
Fantastic.
So we're hoping that jumps up a little bit more.
Yeah, fantastic.
So yeah, it's going very well.
How is the salt supply?
Well, we ran it down to redo the barn.
Right, right.
So we have about a half a barn.
Okay.
You know, whether, you know, we see what comes before December, and maybe we can get through till then. If not, I'll be coming over and talking to you.
Yeah. All right,
We're
great.
still doing the magic on that?
We are. Some things I've been looking at, maybe buying salt and then put the additive in ourselves.
Would you
Get
make,
a-
you
get
make
a
the
tank.
solution yourself, this year yourself?
Well, if it's doable, you know, we buy a tank, we can get the salt at a much cheaper rate. I
Right.
know some of the towns piggyback off the county and get it at the county rate.
Yeah.
So if we were to do that and then mix our own there, I think we could probably cut the cost by quite a bit.
That'd be
So it's
great.
something I'm looking into.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's about money,
Oh, no doubt.
you know.
Okay.
But-
Okay, well, thanks, Howie. Thanks for the update, and thanks for doing all you do. It's a great
Thank
pleasure
you.
working with you. It's
You also.
really
Yeah,
nice.
you've been the
Very
best.
nice.
Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you all.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks,
Thanks,
Howie.
Howie.
Good night. Okay, guys, sorry to have made you wait so long, so Rob, why don't you come on up and, how are you?
Good evening. I'm
Good
great,
evening. Thank you
Good
for
evening.
being so patient
We're
with
so
us.
intimidated by TC, I brought backup just in case.
Well, you know,
I get that, believe me.
I don't blame you, actually.
He's an
You might
intimidating
need that
man,
more
but he's-
often.
He's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and so we put up with that
As we've been
intimidation.
as I'm starting to work on the budget, you know, I'm leaning on
Yes.
him and Joanne quite a bit. So as we know, Eric retired on August 17th of this year. So since he's retired now, I'm taking on the role full-time. So it's a learning curve as we're going. It comes at a perfect time because we're working on the budget. I know it's not always saying it's coming at a perfect time, but it's a good time for me to get right into my budget. You know, kind of like when you guys get elected, you're working off someone else's budget. So I have to finish out the year off of his budget, but from January on, I'll be working on my own budget. So it's exciting. My sister's the accountant, not me, so I'm running all my numbers by Joanne, and she's been very, very helpful in the last couple of weeks, so
Good.
I can't thank her enough. I want to thank Howie too, as well, and all his guys, especially Rory and the mechanics. We've been leaning on them a lot to do our vehicle maintenance and our vehicle repairs. It's something that I always said from the minute I came to work here. I don't understand why we have such talented mechanics here. Why don't we use them and help them work on our vehicles? So it's nice to have them right around the corner. They come and pick up the car and drop it off if they need to, if we can't get there. And it's worked out great. I can't say enough good things about the highway department
great.
and the mechanics that we have there. Thank you, Howie. So moving into the 2019 budget, obviously with that, we're looking at some infrastructure changes that need to be made as well. We didn't ask for a lot for 6 years because we had a brand-new building. There's some things that need to be upgraded, like right now, we're working with PCA about the Wi-Fi. Our Wi-Fi is really not even usable at this point because it's 6 years old. That's a very small fix. We never had our radio, the phone line computer. The way our phone lines are recorded, they were on a separate computer. Well, somehow or another, PCA never took that computer on to make sure there's virus protection and things on there. So we did get a virus that ruined that whole computer. So it made us relook at the whole system of recording our phone lines and recording our radios. Our radios are not recorded, and right now, currently, our phone lines are not recorded. So I'm working on a few different solutions to try to bring us up to speed with that, because we're really at a vulnerability for liability when you start thinking about phone lines that aren't recorded. There's things that sometimes we need to go back and listen to because we didn't understand someone who's, you know, having a hard time or screaming or yelling. We need to play back a radio transmission to see what an officer said, because if he said something and then we can't raise him on the radio now, we need to play that back quickly to be able to determine what needs to be done and where we need to send that. Obviously, the main thing that we're always looking at in the budget is ways to reduce overtime, and we're trying to put together a vehicle replacement plan. The way vehicles always been replaced before is one will blow up, and I'll come and beg Tom and tell him that we need to replace the vehicle, or unfortunately, some are totaled in auto accidents, and we have to claim it through insurance. So we're working on a way to be able to have a vehicle replacement plan so we can plan ahead and not be bombarded with needing 2 or 3 cars at one time. But this is a big task, and we're starting it from ground up. I'm working on a shared service grant with the county for our records management system software for dispatching. I sent an email off today to Steve Oscarlees from Dutchess County, and we're going to try to piggyback off of their police management plan. It's called New World. Right now it's being used by City of Poughkeepsie, Dutchess County Sheriff's Office, Dutchess County 911, and the town of Poughkeepsie. And this software will be able to share all of our information, and we'll get things in real time. So when things are dispatched at Dutchess County 911, the screen will pop up on our screen, and it'll be the same screen with all the information on it, and it'll help us be more efficient, to help us in searching people that, we're a small community and we're all close by, and we all deal with the same people. So if we can get that information quicker without getting on the phone and calling and saying, do you have this person in your system? And, can you tell us, a little bit more about them and what's going on? So I'm working on that shared service grant, and we're in the very beginning stages of information gathering for that. We're updating our emergency management plan right now with Chris Mater, the chief of Fairview Fire Department. Him and I are working on redoing and updating the emergency management plan. Part of that plan is looking at new cell phones for the supervisor, the highway superintendent, and myself, that will have priority in case of an emergency. Our phones would have priority on the tower. As we all know, when an emergency happens, everyone is texting everyone, everyone's calling everyone, and we can't often make a phone call to help get services to where they need to be. So in an emergency, highway, the town supervisor, and the police department and fire departments all need to be able to communicate.
So there's technology that can elevate your phone to top priority?
Yes, I actually have one of the phones here.
Well, that's great.
I did some research, and I got some demo units. It's called FirstNet. FirstNet came out after September 11th. One of the things that they learned, that's ironic that it's tomorrow, one of the things they learned from that is that everyone back then, and you're thinking about 17 years ago, when cell phones were very, very new, and they're not to the capability they are now, which are little computers in your pocket. So emergency services couldn't communicate with each other, and they could have saved thousands of lives and not put people into danger if they could have communicated. So the state went out and created this contract under FirstNet for a phone company, and AT&T won the bid to be able to create this system, so that way first responders and people that are involved in emergency planning will be able to have these devices, and they're very cheap. I was very shocked at how cheap they really are. They're cheaper than the cell phones that we're using currently from Verizon. They're a little bit more durable. They probably will stand up a lot more than what we're currently using. So I'm exploring that as well. One of the big things that I've always wanted to get going on was our rules and regulations, updating our rules and regulations, which will work towards accreditation. Aileen and I were at a meeting the other day, and we spoke about that, and they were talking about accreditation. Accreditation is basically certifying a police department to say that they meet all the state standards, and everyone has the same standards, and everyone meets them. Jim McKenna and I started that back in 2006. We started working towards that, but in the old building we were in, there was no way we were going to have any kind of standard, because we didn't know if the building was even going to stand up, much rather be a standard. So now we're in our facility now, and things are a lot nicer. So we just need some time to put these together, and we're sending Sergeant Kacha to a training class to help prepare that, and we can start working towards that. We're going to continue and reach out even more into the community. You know my background. I'm very much community oriented. We're continuing our Coffee with a Cop. We're having our next one on National Coffee with a Cop Day on October 3rd at Dunkin' Donuts on Route 9 at 6 a.m. We put out the the blast on Facebook. We're going to continue to do that. I gave it to Caroline today, so she can put it up on the town's Facebook page and also on Channel 22. It's been a huge success. The next one we're going to do on a weekend. I wanted to do this one on a weekend, but it's National Coffee with a Cop Day. So we figured we wanted to participate in that when all the other departments are doing it at the same time. And for me, it's great to get out of that office, guys that get out of a car, sit down and have real conversation with people. Nobody communicates with anyone anymore. Everything is done by social media or text messages. It's nice to sit down over a cup of coffee and have a real conversation with someone. And it's great to see people come out just to come and talk to us. You know, I'm always accessible, I'm always available, but it's nice to sit down, again, over a cup of coffee and just chat with people. And we find out a lot of things that's going on in the community that we had no idea. So it's been a great program. We're looking into teaching the active shooter for civilian response class. Right now, we're working with the school district in putting together a class we're going to try to teach at night, so we can reach out past even, you know, I taught it and Officer Monaco taught it to the employees here at the town of Hyde Park, but we're going to reach out and try to reach some of the more people in the community and start working on that. We're very excited moving into 2019, but again, this would be nothing without the men and women that we have working for us. And as you see, we travel in groups. You know, we're very much like a family, and it's very exciting with the group of people we have. We have wonderful people here that work for you in the town of Hyde Park Police Department, and we have a lot of people that have many talents, and we're looking to get the most out of the talents. As I always say, that in Hyde Park we always do the most with the least, and we're a prime example of that. We get a lot done with the least amount possible.
We definitely appreciate all your hard work and all you do to keep us safe, and you're a very big part of our community, and definitely very appreciative. And you know, just today, I don't know that Donna printed it out, or I didn't have time, but we received a letter just thanking one of your officers for helping them get into their car at the FDR estate. And so, I mean, really on a pretty regular basis, we get compliments on our police and on our highway super. Just the other day, I was walking on BDART, and a gentleman stopped me, and I was like, oh, and he's like, I got to talk to you. And I was like, oh, please, no.
I just want to go for a walk.
And it was like, no, I got to tell you, your highway super is great. I was like, okay. And really, I get compliments on you guys all the time. And Hyde Park is a very big, small town, and I think that's why we all
And we're
enjoy
very
it.
unique here, where we all have a good working relationship with each other. As a member of the Dutchess County Chiefs Association, you know, many times they're like, you mention the town board or you mention the city hall, and they're like, oh, you know, they're so bad and it's evil, or the highway department. And it's really not that way here. I don't feel that I feel I can approach every one of you about anything that's needed, and we can have a conversation. And as well as the highway department, I work closely with Howie and Rich. I've had to go out with Rich before from the fire inspector, and we all work together. We're all here for the same cause, and it's great that we can all work together. And we're very unique here. I brag about us very often, so
Well,
thank you.
It was interesting for us to attend a meeting that the county executive put together with the Latino community, and it was great that Rob and I could go together, and it was interesting, open dialogue with people that, you know, wanted to make sure that their rights were protected and that they could feel comfortable, and we had a very good conversation. The Sheriff Anderson was there, as well as the county executive, and they expressed their concern regarding a policy that had been standard at the jail, whereby when someone was arrested, they were asked if they were citizens, and if not, then they were faxed a form was faxed to ICE. And so the Latino community, I met with Sheriff Anderson a few times beginning last summer, and asked that policy be altered and that practice be suspended. And so they did announce at this meeting that in fact they had suspended that practice, so they're no longer informing ICE when they have arrested someone who is not a citizen. But they also asked at that meeting that all of the departments in the county adopt a policy where we no longer ask if they are a citizen of the U.S. or what country they were born in. And so the sheriff department no longer asks that, and I think that we are making that change as well.
Yeah, so a lot of these forms that were created, we've been using the same arrest form in my 25 years in law enforcement. So just like anything else, at times it needs to be revised and relooked at. Our biggest thing is a victim's a victim, whether they're an immigrant or they're not an immigrant. We want every victim to feel that they're being treated fairly and equally. And we do that, and we will do that, and we will continue to do that, because that's what we're here for. The people are here in our community, and if you're a victim of a crime, we want to help you. And I was glad that Sheriff Anderson spoke, especially about domestic violence, because of the two different committees that I'm on for Dutchess County considering domestic violence. Our numbers are down. And I can't say to you, with a straight face that they're down because there's less domestics occurring in the county or in the town. They're down because people are scared to report things.
Yeah.
And I can't urge people enough, especially if you're listening at home. If you're a victim of a crime, you call the police and we will help you. And that's what we're here for.
And the sheriff strongly articulated that too. And I think it was very heartfelt that people should feel safe in that regard.
Yes.
That's what you
And
guys
like I said,
are
a
for.
victim is a victim, and we don't want to victimize someone 2 times. And that's always been our process is, if we can help them, we're going to help them. We don't want to make them a victim again. And that's how we do business. And again, we're here to help victims.
Good. So I know that you have a lot of work to do on your budget, and we do as well once we receive it. And thank you for coming in, and my door's always open, and great to see you all. And it was a really nice ceremony you put together for the chief,
Thank you.
for Eric. And
Officer Wazalewski really takes credit for that. He's
Well,
the one
thanks.
who organized all the inner
Thank
workings
you.
of that.
It was very nice. It was really very nice. So good.
Yeah, we
Okay.
miss him. I still talk to him. He's doing well.
Is he doing well? Good. Well,
yes.
tell him we said hi.
And
Yeah.
again, thank you guys for
It's a
asking.
great time for us in Hyde Park and the residents of Hyde Park.
Yeah.
With such pride, we have a great police department, a wonderful highway department. We were meeting with, the planning board, and you just look at the town and you can just see that the tide is changing. And it's a great time to be in Hyde Park. So thank you for all you guys
It's
do.
definitely
Thank
true.
you.
And
We're very proud to be Hyde Park.
Yeah, I am
That's
too.
for sure.
And tomorrow, of course, is 9/11, and it's the time that we remember those who lost their lives, but also it's become a time when we thank the first responders, and so thank you all. So
Thank you. We
on
appreciate
that
that.
note, though, the ceremony is being moved to Town Hall tomorrow because of rain predictions, so Town Hall, 6:30, people can begin gathering, and the ceremony will start at 7, and unfortunately, I won't be here. I'm going to take care of my grandson in Seattle, but I'll be thinking of everyone. So,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Because of
See you in the
rain.
morning.
Okay, so I think that is our last workshop. Emma, do you want to go forward on the resolutions?
Yeah, let's do that.
Andrea's waiting for me.
Of course, go.
I'll go through it. That's all right. Can I just let go?
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks
Thank
for
you, guys.
coming
Thanks a
out.
lot.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to see
Do
you
you
guys.
know what the next step is for the dissolution? We send out the notice of, if anyone has any claims, we publish it for 100 days.
Oh,
And then it
okay.
becomes final.
Okay,
That's it.
okay,
Is that okay?
yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna go. 'Cause-
yeah, it's Rosh Hashanah,
Happy,
so,
New
yeah, Happy
Holiday.
New Year.
Thank you.
All right, Resolution 910-1 of 2018, resolution authorizing entrance onto the properties located at 4357 to 4359 Albany Post Road, 579 Creek Road, 61 Windmill Drive, 16 Sycamore Drive, 7 Gloria Drive, and 5 Idlewild Drive, to bring the properties into compliance with the standards of Chapter 85-5B of the Town Code, and to assess the costs of such action against the property as a lien and charge on the same.
And a second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-2, 2018, resolution approving budget revisions to the Town of Hyde Park for the period of August 2018, budget revisions number 2018-08.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-3 of 2018, resolution amending Resolution 813-5 of 2018, approving selection of professional firm to perform the 2018 physical audit for the Town of Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-4, 2018, resolution authorizing Police Detective Jason Rasulo and Police Officer Martin Monaco to attend a 5-day training session conducted by the Dutchess County Crisis Intervention Team, the CIT.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-5 of 2018, resolution authorizing the Hyde Park Highway Superintendent to replace the Hyde Park Highway Garage front bay overhead doors.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-6 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute a lease agreement between New York Communications Company, Inc., NYCO MCO, and the town of Hyde Park for radio communication equipment for the town of Hyde Park Highway and Recreation Departments.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-7 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute non-pro-tunc a renewal for 2018 of the intermunicipal agreement with the Hyde Park Central School District and the town of Hyde Park for the presence of police officers at Hyde Park school events for the 2018-19 school year.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 910-8 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute non-pro-tunc a renewal for 2018 of the intermunicipal agreement with the Hyde Park Central School District to cooperatively fund a school resource officer program.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-9 of 2018, resolution authorizing Kathleen Moss, zoning administrator, to attend the 18th annual Southeast New York State Stormwater Conference and Trade Show.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
That sounds
Resolution
exciting.
910-10,
Tad,
That sounds
going
exciting, Sam.
crazy.
authorizing the town supervisor to execute a stormwater management facility inspection and maintenance easement agreement with T-Rex Hyde Park LLC.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-11 of 2018, resolution appointing temporary maintenance mechanic for the town of Hyde Park town buildings.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye. Resolution 910-12 of 2018, a resolution authorizing the town supervisor to permanently increase the hours of the town of Hyde Park groundskeeper/cleaner Carl Wagner to 40 hours per week, which I'm extremely excited about.
Second.
They've been doing an amazing job.
Amazing
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Amazing job.
Hey, we're just having a love fest here.
Well
tonight,
noticed.
aren't we?
It's deserved.
Yeah, they do.
The parks
They do,
are
don't they?
They
fantastic.
do. And they've been mowing the
The
corner of
sidewalk
Green
areas.
Tree.
I know,
Yeah.
that looks
It
great
looks,
too.
it looks fantastic,
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I'm excited.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 910-13 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to approve the final version of dissolution plans for the Arbors, Greenbush, Violet Avenue, Pinebrook Estates, Quaker Hills, and Greenfields water districts, and the Pinebrook Estates sewer district in accordance with the requirements of sections 774, 775, and 776 of the general municipal law.
Second.
Second, and we'll have a roll call on that, please.
Councilwoman Svensson.
Aye.
Councilman Ray.
Aye.
Councilman Marine.
Aye.
Councilman Schneider.
Aye.
Supervisor Rohr.
Aye. And before the town attorney left, he just asked that I make note that there will be a notice of claims published as to be in compliance with the requirements, and it will give 100 days for people to file any type of objection.
Okay.
Okay.
Resolution 910-14 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute incentive proposal agreement offered by the Empire State Development, ESD, to assist with the town's infrastructure project to establish a downtown sewer system in Hyde Park.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Although we were awarded this 1.5 million a year ago,
Right.
we still have to apply for it through this.
That's the way the grants work.
It's, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's our money.
all-
It's
yeah, it's all
locked in.
good.
Yeah.
Coming.
Resolution 910-15 of 2018, resolution authorizing the town supervisor to execute security agreements to guarantee demolition of the model home on lot number 1 and the membership clubhouse of HOA Parcel C, should 54 Hyde Park not receive certificates of occupancy by January 1, 2020 for the Enclave Hyde Park.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Warren's been working hard on this enclave thing,
Yes,
but
he
it's exciting
has.
to see they're actually gonna be moving forward on
Yeah,
their
I'm
project.
really
That'll
excited
be
about that
nice.
over there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Resolution 910-16 of 2018, resolution accepting the bid of B&K Excavation Incorporated as the lowest responsible bidder for the Pine Woods Road pedestrian improvement project.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And we added this,
And
right?
and the last one
Yep.
that we added at the dais.
Resolution 91017 of 2018, resolution proclaiming the 50th anniversary of the Knights of Columbus Council Number 611.
Nice.
Oh,
Second.
is it 6111?
611.
6111.
Yeah.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
And congratulations
50 years.
to the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah,
And
50 years.
Dave and I are attending their gala.
Yeah, I remember when they started.
Dave?
What advantage you getting old, you remember this stuff.
Okay, so we didn't get to discuss fully a personnel matter that I'd like to go into executive session again, even though it
I'm okay with that.
seems like it's late. Don, so may I have a motion to enter executive session?
Make a motion?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Donna, do you want me to sign this so you can leave, or you can't
No, I
leave
still hang
anyway?
out. I'll hang out
You
just
Sure,
to
okay,
get
all right, okay.
Close.
Yep.
So you have to come back first.
Oh, I have to come back first? Is that what we gotta do?
Motion to return from executive session.
I make a motion.
And
Second.
all in favor?
I make a motion to close the meeting.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I make a motion that Donna can go home.
Well, not yet.
Almost, not
She's
yet.
gotta sign, we gotta sign some stuff, she and I.
Supervisor, have a safe trip tomorrow.
Thanks, yeah, thanks, I'll see
When are
you.
you- when are
Yeah.
you back?